morning. Sitting here and watching the sprinkler system to make sure that my garden gets watered properly when we head off to the ocean on Sunday. Because I have to take care of my babies, right? So my man has put together a whole sprinkler system for me here so that hopefully my garden continues to be happy and grow. And so far, so good. My roses are doing great. My watermelons are taking over the yard. And yeah, my cucumbers aren't that happy. Just kind of funny that the cucumbers are the things that aren't happy, but aren't happy. Everything else is. But the sprinkler is so far working. I think it'll work for at least a couple days. I was just sitting here and I was thinking about some of the comments and statements that I've heard, of course, over the last couple days, and that's how Conscious Coffee rolls, right? That kind of think about different things that's kind of come up. And this morning, a man is going to kill me. Not really. But this morning, he knows. This is like, here's what happens when you date Kendall. When you date Kendall, when you are in a relationship with Kendall, your shit will be, unfortunately, occasionally, frequently, tossed into a Conscious Coffee or an article, as well as my shit. Because I can live like that, open, free, vulnerable. I know my ex-husband, he watches some of my stuff and he's just like, you're just being raw. And I'm like, yep. And that's what's attractive, is the raw, is the authentic, is the, hey, I'm a human being and here's how I'm working through my shit and here's what I help people with and here's how I've moved through stuff, and that's all great. But last night, my guy, his energy shifted and he didn't say anything to me. He didn't alert me that there was anything wrong, but his energy shifted. And I went up to him and I just felt like compelled a couple times yesterday to tell him how much I appreciated him. And, I just, for whatever reason, my soul was just going, I need to tell him that I appreciate him, that I'm not taking all the amazing things that he does and how he supports me for granted. So I kept doing that. And I was like, this is kind of interesting. I tell him thank you a lot. And I tell him, how amazing he is a lot. But yesterday was a little, I noticed myself feeling very drawn to it. And his energy was just off, and I alerted him to it. I was like, your energy's off. What is going on? What is going on? I'm trying to get communication, right? So I'm inquiring. So I'm like, what's going on? And I go through the whole thing of like, is there anything that I can do for you? And I come back to, I asked him probably 3 times yesterday, did I do something? Because, I can't fix it if I don't know what I did. And I've been blowing and going, and I've been doing all this kind of stuff. So I could be a little unpresent and clueless about an action or a statement or something. And I'm like, I can't change my actions and statements or even a perception around things. I can't clear the air on anything if you don't communicate with me. And he's like, he didn't say I didn't do something, but he didn't say that I did do something to him. And typically if his mood shifts and I ask that, he's like, no, you didn't do anything. Like, it's not. And then it'll come out that it's something completely random over here. And I'm, my trigger is that, oops, he retracted. And because I was with, a couple men before that they retracted their love, it triggers that emotion inside of me. Like, oh shit, like this relationship's crashing. I've done something. You've done it again, girl. Like you're too much. You're not enough. And so I go into this, and when I feel him pull away, I instantaneously think that it's my fault. And except I go, all right, let's think this through. Maybe it's not your fault. Like, he's never said that it's your fault, like that. You have the open communication, you share all this stuff. And this time he didn't deny that it was my fault. And I was like, okay. So then I start analyzing. And then I get up in my head and I'm just overthinking everything. I'm like, what did you do? And I'm like, okay. So, I'm very open about different things. Like if men are flirting with me, or if I've had, a conversation with somebody that I feel like I need to communicate to him as well, or what have you. So I'm just like, I am a very boundary pushing, person that does not believe in taming herself to make anybody else feel secure. And I'm like, here I am, here's how it is, deal with it. So we go through the night, and this morning we're sitting in bed and we're talking, and he's talking about something random. I'm like, so what was up with your energy last night? And he's like, why you gotta bring that up? right? Like, why you got to bring that up? And I'm like, because I'm feeling like it's me. And I'm trying to, I'm trying to take myself off the hot seat, and I want to be here to support you and tell, like whatever I can do for you. Come to find out, it was me. It was me. And I was like, I knew it. Today, I knew it. I was like, yep, it's me. I did something. I'm the bad egg. I'm the bad person. I'm the one that's, fuck this up. Like, what did I do? And how can I fix it? And he was just like, he didn't want to tell me. He's like, I don't want to bring it up. Like, I don't want to even talk about this. Like, can we just forget about it? I don't want to talk about it. Like, there's reasons I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. I'm like, well, if we don't talk about it, then this little itty bitty prick is going to end up becoming a massive thorny bush in our relationship, and it's going to destroy our relationship. Communication is the key here. We have to break this down. You have to, like, even if I get my feelings hurt, I'm a big girl. Like, those are my feelings. I'm responsible for my feelings. And if it's something that I really did do, then I need to, I want to improve our relationship. I want more intimacy. I want more depth. I want more authenticity. And the only way we're going to have that is to really, truly communicate and to have those difficult conversations. And isn't it right? Like, anybody who's watching, isn't it so true that sometimes the most difficult conversations are like the itty bitty ones? They're the ones that that they're so small, but it's just rubbing you, and you're just going, and that this can also be like a game changer in intimacy in your relationship, because the reality is that a lot of people, when faced with a critique or faced with an intimacy share with something on that level, and they bring it to, like they get this from their partner, this criticism, right? It's a criticism, a judgment, something that's going on that the person is upset about. What do? We go, well, I need to shut my shit down. I can't communicate anymore. I can't let that piece of me be seen anymore. I need to hide this aspect of me because it's too much. It's showing that I'm unstable, maybe emotionally, especially for us women, guys too. Like, men don't want to show their emotions because they don't want to be perceived as weak. They don't want to lose their masculine energy, so they hold all their emotion in, and they try to be really strong for the woman. And in truth, she's going, but I want to see that. But then the guy who is spilling his guts all the time and crying at every commercial loses her respect because he's just being a crybaby about everything, right? He's too feminine then. And it's like, no, I want a man that's strong but still is feminine, right? It still has that energy of like heart, right? That nurturing, that connection, that can connect with the feminine at that level. I don't want it too much because I need to be led. I need a strong masculine. And for us women, like men, I'm convinced that men love crazy girls, as I refer to as crazy girls, like those wild and crazy girls, the ones that every guy has a story of like, oh my God, she was so hot, the sex was so amazing, but man, she was a fucking crazy person. Like, she was crazy, and she burned all my shit when we broke up, and she did this, and she did that, and all that kind of stuff. But they'll come back and they'll say, but the sex was amazing, right? Well, for those of us who, all women, we all kind of think that we're kind of a little, get out of our rockers, at certain times of the month, and when we get pushed a little bit too far, and what we don't understand, when we're not having good, deep orgasm, when we're just being brought up to that edge and then dropped, and we're just walking around with female blue balls, it makes us very crazy. I mean, men, you should be able to understand that, imagine. But we don't want to be perceived as crazy, because no woman wants that crazy girl label on her, in truth. So we'll shut our stuff down. We will limit. We will try to mute what we perceive is causing a problem. So we will try to hide aspects of ourselves, our desires, our this, our that. Because when we get brought this conversation, this difficult conversation, as small as it might be, like my conversation this morning, itty bitty, but it makes you instantaneously want to not let those aspects be seen. And for somebody like me who shares pretty much everything, it is one of those that I'm like, okay, maybe, and my instantaneous feeling, and in truth, my instantaneous feeling was, I need to limit my shares around my friendships. I need to limit my shares with my partner around my feelings toward people. So, long story short, and this is going to get brought in here because it's a very, very important point, because this is one of those little thorns that we limit ourselves over. So his issue was a jealousy issue, and I had really done nothing, but at something that I was speaking of, somebody that is very near and dear to me in my life, and I was chatting with this person and sharing, and I told my partner, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm probably going to be going out to lunch with, and I'm probably going to do this, and then I was talking about, and I was trying to explain to him, because he's never met this person, I was trying to explain to him who this was and the heart connection that I have with this person. So I was explaining it, and I know the comments that did it. I was like, those are the comments that caused this little jealousy plug right there, right? Because this person, we are highly connected, we do have all this, but we have a very strict boundaries in our relationship, and no lines are getting crossed, but we love each other deeply. So I was like, boom. And it caused this jealousy to rise up in him, and he didn't speak it. He didn't say it until, 24 hours later. So then he's like, and he still hasn't really truly said it, but I get it. And I went, maybe I shouldn't tell him. My instinct was maybe I need to, do I have to hide that I go to lunch with this person? Do I have to hide that I texted this person? That's not me. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel good. But if he can't handle it, I don't want to damage my relationship. I don't want to cause a stir. I don't want him to get jealous over something that I'm doing. Now, I'm a relationship coach. I understand what jealousy means. Jealousy has nothing, and I want you to understand this, because we all deal with jealousy. At some point, every single person deals with jealousy. Jealousy has nothing, nada, to do with the other person that we are being jealous over, okay? We point the fingers and we go, you did this that made me jealous. But what is actually being said there is, what I am seeing, what I am perceiving, caused a trigger inside of me around my own insecurity in myself. I have an insecurity in myself. I have a lack of worthiness in myself, which we all have, okay? It's human. There's not a person on the planet that doesn't have worthiness issues, okay, and insecurities. But jealousy is a sign that that worthiness has been triggered, that we are feeling like I'm not enough. And there's potential risk at losing everything that I am really loving and really enjoying because I'm not enough. That has nothing to do with any other person on the planet, okay? Especially our partner, especially our friend, especially with whomever we have this pointed at. It has nothing to do with them. So what happens is that we start to point fingers, right? And we go, well, I'm jealous because of you. I'm jealous because that guy looked at you. I'm jealous because that woman looked at you and smiled. I'm jealous because you're flirty. I'm jealous because, oh my God, you look really fucking hot, and all the heads in the room are turning right now, and I'm feeling like there's 15 other people that are better than me. But it's your fault. It's your fault because you're so hot. It's your fault because you smiled. It's your fault because you were sociable. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not my fault. It's your fault that I'm feeling insecure. Bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. That's just bullshit. The reality is that it's the individual who's feeling the jealousy. It's internal work. It's doing the work that they need to do. It has nothing to do with the partner. But here's what our jealousy, and I'm hitting jealousy, yes, because it was the topic of my morning, but because it is so prevalent in relationship across the board. And I happen to know that I'm doing a couples appointment, so if you're listening, my sweet couple of the afternoon, this one's for you. It is so prevalent out there. We do this. It's our human nature. But here's what ends up happening. When we become jealous and we finger point to our partner, and we don't take the responsibility for our own thoughts, our own feelings, what is going on, and going, whoa, that's a trigger around my insecurities about myself. That's a trigger about my insecurities, about my worthiness, my value. That I have issues with not being enough or maybe being too much. And what we end up doing is, when we blame, we cause that other person to go. And what does that other person typically do? When we have a jealous partner to that level and we don't communicate and we don't take that responsibility for ourselves, and if this person that is getting blamed now doesn't do their work and doesn't, I'm like, bam, I'm not shutting my shit down to keep you feeling secure. And he knows that. He's been in a relationship with me for 3 years. He knows this. He knows that I'm not going to shut it down. I'm not going to mute myself. I'm not going to tame myself just to make him feel safe in our relationship. I'm here. Here you go. And that's that with that, right? It's like I'm showing up, and if you've got questions, well, ask me. Right? It's like that's that. But what do we typically do in relationship? When we put jealousy onto our partners and blame them for it, we are asking them to shut their shit down. We are asking them to not be them. We're asking the things that we love so much about them, the way they are happy and flirty, the way they are so easy to get along with, their confidence, their looks, their whatever that attracts us to them. We have jealousy over it, and then we go, well, I'd feel a lot safer if you didn't wear that, if you didn't talk like that, if you didn't make eye contact, if you didn't smile, if you didn't. So we're asking them to change their personalities that we actually love. And we're asking them to mute themselves, to tame themselves, to dilute themselves, to hide themselves. For what? So that we don't have to take responsibility for our own shit, and that we don't have to do our work. And we can then have this false sense of safety and security in a relationship, all the while actually causing separation in the relationship, because now we've asked our partner to change one of their key characteristics. And what we're going to actually end up doing is making our partner move away from us, and we're going to actually end up not liking them as much, not appreciating them as much, because they made the character change to keep us safe, to make us feel secure, and not standing firm in who they are. And then when that character changes and they become this like docile, boring, gain some weight, do this lethargic person, then we're like, what happened to you? I've lost my attraction. I don't desire you anymore because of da-da-da-da-da. You used to be so boom. Oh, but I told you that those things made me jealous. I asked you to change those things. And now that you've changed those things, I'm not attracted to you anymore. But, that person's got him. I'm attracted to that person over there. Why can't you be more like that person? And then what? We end up with affairs, separation, toxic relationships, all this kind of stuff. And it all starts by asking our partner to mute themselves to make us feel safe, to make us feel secure in some way. And the partner that we fell in love with, they're still there. They're still there, but they're shrunk. We've stunted their light, stunted their growth for our safety. Isn't it interesting? And yeah, I am going to pull on our world because we do this. This is the way we are as human beings, and it is very, very sad. But I want everybody following me to kind of think about this, because we are in a time and space right now where we're making a lot of altercations to our life. We are, we are completely making all these changes to our daily life, to our relationships, to the way we live, changing everything so that we feel safe. And we're condemning anybody who refuses to mute themselves. What? You're still going to be happy? What? You're still going to go outside and walk? What? You're still going to go to the grocery store? What? You're still going to travel? What? You're still going to date? What? That's danger, 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 danger. I don't feel safe if you're doing that. You're a bad person because you're not making me feel safe because you're doing that. Think about it. Think about it. Where is your safety shutting the people in your life down? Where's your desire to feel secure? Because here's the reality. This little thing about security and safety, it is a hoax, okay? Safety and security is a hoax. Number one, I love Finding Nemo. I know I'm a little scattered, but I'm not scattered at the same time. Anybody who's ever watched Finding Nemo, when Nemo goes missing and Dory, the little blue fish, right, is out there with Nemo's dad, and they're looking for Nemo, and Nemo's dad says, that he's blaming himself for Nemo going missing, and that he should have never let him go on that field trip. He should have never done that, and this would have never happened. And Dory makes the statement of, it's crazy, because if you did that, then he wouldn't even be able to live. He'd never experience life. He'd never live. So safety prevents us from living. And that's the reality, is that safety does prevent us from living. And it doesn't even exist, because we can be sleeping in our bed, safely in our house, all tucked in nice and safe, with all the doors locked. And a beam in the house can break, and the bed upstairs can fall through the ceiling or the bathtub and crush us. We could walk outside at any given moment, and a kid from a yard across the way could throw a rock, and it could hit our head just right and knock us down, and we could hit our head and boom, get severely hurt or be dead. Every single time we get in the car, every single time, whether we're buckled or not, every single time we get in the car, every time we go through an intersection with a green light, we think we're safe. I'm buckled. I'm in a licensed, registered car. My car is in good condition. I'm following the rules of the road. The light is green. Somebody could run that light. Somebody could run the light. I have a client that they were out last Christmas, and that's exactly what happened to them. They were going through a light, and it was green, and somebody ran the red light and killed 2 of the passengers, and put one and changed the other, made the other one, paralyzed for life. And the other 2, the moms survived, and children died, and one child is basically a vegetable for life, like really, really struggling. And they were just out Christmas shopping, buckled in a safe car, moving through a green light. Safety and security is a myth. None of us are safe. None of us are secure. We're not safe and secure in our relationships. We're not safe and secure sitting in our houses. We're not safe and secure in our cars. We're not safe and secure sitting outside in the backyard, taking a walk, traveling, going to work, putting our money in the bank, keeping our money between the mattresses. None of it is safe. If you are alive, you are risking your life. Every single moment of it. And that's living. That's what we get to do. Because every single moment that we take a breath is a gift. It is a blessing. It is not something that is, owed to us in any fashion or form. We owe life to let life move through us, to experience, to live, which means to risk and to get very real with ourselves and take responsibility. Because if you really truly want to feel safe, if you really truly want to feel at peace, if you really truly want to feel love, if you really truly want to feel your value, your worthiness, happiness, joy, bliss, abundance, if you want to feel any of that, then realize that all of it starts right here, and then by the actions that we take. And by doing the deep work inside of ourselves, by getting very authentic and real, which 90% of the population does not want to get real with themselves. And so that's why they blame everybody else and everything else. And that's what causes all the chaos and all the horrific things that we experience in this world. So, it starts with you, it starts with me, it starts with each one of us. I ask you today to look at where your need to feel safe and secure is shutting down the people in your world. I ask you to look at all aspects, all subject areas of your life, Definitely with your partners, with your children, with your friends. You know, are you letting jealousy, because that is a big topic, are you letting jealousy completely derail your beautiful relationships in your life? Are you blaming others for your emotions? Because FYI, they're your emotions. They're not the other person's. And that other person or other people are not responsible for your emotions or your insecurities or your worthiness or if you feel loved or not loved. It's all you. All you. Love yourself first. Appreciate yourself first. Respect yourself first. Honor yourself. Know your worth. And do your own fucking work on you. And remember that when you ask another to mute themselves, to dim themselves, for your well-being, for your safety, for your emotional state, that what you're actually doing is asking that other person to completely change so that you can control them. And that's not freedom. That's not love. That's not connection. So, okay, I see a couple comments coming in here. Addison, yes, my lesson for the week is to live now while we have the time. Absolutely, I understand you, girl. Penny, wow, Kendall, I needed you today. Thank you, and I love you. Thank you, Penny, for joining in the morning. April, to you too. And morning, Jason. I see a bunch of other people on here too. I'm not going to scroll up. So yeah, okay. Let me see. Announcements. Hit my events page. That's pretty much the announcement. Hit the events page. Things are kind of changing. I just got notification that my kids' school is going to be out for the summer for 2 additional weeks. So now I get to go shift my August around a little bit. So that's coming and everything. We'll see how that pans out now that I know a little bit more as to what's going on with school. It's been quite interesting, right? I still don't know if I'm homeschooling or if they're going to school or what Texas is doing on any of that. We shall see as we come up to my birthday weekend, which is when they're starting school, right by my birthday. So yeah, other than that, go and check out. We've got some beautiful events. Cock Connection. We got Female Orgasm Summer Camp coming out. We've got Quantum Field Tantra. We've got Sex Magic. We've got Oral Intimacies. We've got a puja coming up as well. All that sexy, sexy, sexy stuff that deals with yes, sex, yes, relationship, yes, intimacy, yes, communication, yes, listening, yes, working on yourself and learning how your energy, how your thoughts, how your emotions impact your manifestation, right down to the orgasms that you're having. So check those out. And as always, remember, stop existing, start living. You are worthy of a dynamic, thriving life, a freedom-based life, but it does start with you first. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee.